The Mitsubishi Outlander has proven to be a popular SUV for Australians since it came to market in its current form. And here we have the 2024 plug-in hybrid GSR version, which now sits at the top of the Outlander range. Of course, for those after a plug-in hybrid Outlander, you can start at the base level ES version for about $64,000 drive away, which is a 5-seater and misses out on a lot of the luxuries. For those who then want to add some extra seats, leather appointments, larger wheels and some other creature comforts, the Exceed trim starts from just under $75,000 drive away. You then have the Exceed Tourer from about $77,000, which just changes some of the interior and exterior appointments. Here at the GSR level, we're just shy of $80,000 drive away, and they've blacked out some of the front chrome treatment over the top of the body. The wheels are all black, and the interior has a slightly different look and feel as well, instead with the silver contrast stitching. There was a time where the GSR badge attached to an Evolution would mean something a little sporty, but nowadays it is just an option pack like they do on some of their other vehicles like the Triton. So, is that $2,000 to $3,000 premium over the Exceed Tourer worth it for the badge and for the styling changes? Well, hopefully this review will help you with that. Hey guys, I'm Dan for Exhaust Notes Australia. Do hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe for all of our upcoming content. Let's have a look at the top of the line plug-in hybrid Outlander GSR. So one of the main changes with the GSR, of course, is that the chrome shielding is now all blacked out. It still has that tough and rugged appearance though. You just have to decide whether the blackout pack is what you're after. As mentioned too, the wheels are now completely black. And for my own personal taste, I do prefer the two-tone look of the lower trim levels. I think it just adds something to the wheel. Here the wheel can disappear with the rest of the car, obviously being all blacked out, but it is a look I know that some people do like. Now, the Outlander badge on the front is black as usual, but these plug-in hybrid badges, they definitely do stand out. They haven't been blacked out, so they're definitely making a statement about that. Interesting too that the floor mats, instead of saying Outlander on them, they also publicize that it's a plug-in hybrid. The back of the Outlander is probably where it looks the most plain. It's quite simplistic in how it's designed. It's not over-designed in any way. And of course, you're getting that GSR badge on the back of this particular model. But let me know what you think. What do you think of the Outlander in general? I think it is actually quite a good looking SUV. As I asked earlier, do you think the extra premium for the blacked out stuff and the GSR badge is actually worth it? Now, it's a bit of a hot one in Sydney today, but I've got to say the inside of the Outlander is quite a nice place. It's quite roomy, it's well appointed, you've got the nice leather touches, the silver accent stitching. Steering wheel is nice to the feel, the air conditioning has been great during these hot periods, and the screen is good. There's a lot of information available that you can cycle through, and of course you can choose which screen applies to you that you'd like to have. It's wireless Apple CarPlay, but it is a wired connection for Android Auto, but it's a good one. It all works really well. There are native maps if you would like to use that instead, but of course you're probably going to end up using your own phone app. Wireless charger in the middle here, and plenty of little cubbies around. We have a lot of different drive modes. Normal, obviously, and eco, and there's power, and this car can get up and going, which really surprised me, which has probably affected the fuel consumption figures, which I'll talk about when we're driving. But there are also other modes for snow and gravel, mud, and those sorts of things. It's a very capable car. No wonder Russell Coight endorses it. Okay, so the second row of the Outlander isn't too bad. So sitting behind myself, I've got a fair bit of room there. I can stretch out a little bit of under seat space for my feet. Obviously there are batteries and things in the floor. Do find my head isn't so much in the roof, but the cabin sort of tilts in a little bit, so I can feel my hair is just touching the roof there. Obviously the sunroof and the blind are kind of encroaching on the headspace a little bit as well, but if I sit back, it's not too bad. We have the privacy glass back here. We have the shades in the rear windows too, which is a good touch, and of course the seat can be adjusted forward and back for a little bit of extra comfort, a bit of a recline as well. Third zone climate control back here, and the outer seats, as well as having ISOFIX points, they're also heated. Some cooling on a day like today would also be quite nice. Sunroof opening all the way back to the second row. It can feel a fair bit airy in here, even though it's a bit of a dark grey interior. Some extra pockets, which is kind of handy for those who use them. But yeah, it's a nice place to be. There's obviously room for 3 back here, and a center armrest with 2 cup holders. So it's good for the family trips, I think. Now, of course, the third row is where it's going to get a little more interesting. So, of course, the advantage that the Exceed Tourer and the GSR Outlanders have is that they can be a 5-seater or a 7-seater. And at the moment we have it set up with the larger boot, 461 litres with the third row folded. But in case you do want to put those 2 rear seats up, it does take a little bit of skill, almost feeling like you need an engineering degree to do so. Now, firstly, we'll need to move our bags because it is a plug-in hybrid. We'll also need to remove the tonneau cover, which is easier said than done. And then you've got nowhere really to put it. And then you basically follow the numbers. At number 1, you have to pull up the bench and flip it over. And then pull the bench into place. And then you can have these very unique looking headrests. Deploying it is easier than putting it away, but again, you follow the number system. You lower the headrests. This time you pull number 2. Number 3 gets pulled at the same time as number 4. And there you go. Once you get used to it, it's fine. Eventually we did figure out how to store the tonneau cover when you have all seats up. It goes in there. Now, let's give this a try. Pull the seat forward. Wow, that's a really small space to get into. I'm doing this for the review, guys. Oh. Damn. Oof. All right. I think I'm in. Oh. Nah. Okay. Nah. All right. I'm 182 centimeters tall, and you can't really do this. To give myself leg room, the second row has no leg room, and I've got absolutely no headroom. So, yeah, I don't know what you're going to be putting in the third row. It's not going to be adults. Oh, now I've got to get out. Woo! Oh, this is not... Yep. Let's go. The Outlander plug-in hybrid EV has actually been quite a surprising package to drive around. It's really smooth, and I mean, I say this about a lot of SUVs that I've test driven, but this one just feels more like a car than any others. Whilst you do have that commanding view of sitting up a bit higher, it feels like it has a lower center of gravity. It's got a lot of up and go, probably due to the fact that it is all-wheel drive with motors on each axle. The combined power output that Mitsubishi quotes is 185 kilowatts and 450 newton meters of torque. The car still weighs 2.1 tons, but when you put it in a power mode, it just launches itself. Quite surprisingly so. So I think that could be why it's so popular out on the roads. Almost every second car you see is an Outlander. One critique, I guess, would be that the steering is maybe a little light. There's not a lot of feedback from it, so sometimes that can throw you off just a little bit. But for around town, it's smooth, it's mostly quiet. I have picked up sometimes you can hear the electrical noises and a little bit of the electrical whines from the motors as it's getting around, but it is really capable. For getting around town, it's really compliant, really easy. Seats are super comfortable. So the GSR has the black leather with some silver contrast stitching on it. I do find that the interior, particularly the dash, is maybe a little plain. It is just all blacks and greys. If you drop down to the Exceed Tourer trim, you get some orange highlights across the dash here, orange contrast stitching. It just lifts it that little bit more. Of course, you do miss out on the black externals, but I think the interior of that just looks a little nicer. You go down again, the Exceed trim, you actually get a few more exterior color choices, and you can actually have a cream interior. It is interesting that the further up that your options still do get limited a little bit. We are in a graphite grey version. You only have the choice otherwise of white, black and red. You can't get red on the Exceed Tourer trim, so that one is purely whites, greys and blacks. So you got to go through the configurator and see what you like the look of, what options you really feel you need, but they will all drive pretty much the same. It's just what you like the look and feel of and what you want to spend the money on. I think the Exceed is still a very good proposition, and then obviously it comes down to what other things that you'd like to add. So of course Mitsubishi are famous for their 10-year 200,000 kilometer warranty. That's if you keep taking it back to a Mitsubishi dealership, of course. Let's put this into power. But that's still a really good warranty at the moment, particularly for the Australian market. They also have capped price servicing for those 10 years. You're averaging about $300 and something per visit, up to, I think the highest I saw was a couple of visits at $680. So that's all information for you to consider there as well. Being a plug-in hybrid, of course, we're seeing about 50 to 60 k's range out of a fully charged battery. It is a 20 kilowatt hour battery. I've just been charging it overnight when I brought it back home. It takes about that long on a standard wall plug. You can go faster, down to about 38 minutes from a mode 4 module. So that's pretty handy as well. Something that this has. It has two input plug types through the behind the plug-in door, so lots of different advantages there. Now, it is a CVT transmission as well, so there's no sort of gear change feel. The paddles behind the wheel here are purely just to change the amount of brake regeneration you want to use. There's 5 levels. By default, when you put it into that setting, it's on the level 3, which is about the mid-ground, and I've been putting it into the highest level. When you let off the brake, you feel the car begin to slow, as it has here, but it's not going to give you that one-pedal driving feel. Which doesn't mean that the Outlander GSR doesn't have one-pedal driving. In fact, there is this obscure little button in the center console that can activate it for you. Mitsubishi's combined fuel consumption figures is 1.5 litres to the 100. We're not really anywhere near that with how I've been driving this. It's been in the 5s, but that's still not too bad. As I said, I've been driving it, bring it home, plug it in, use the electric power, and then because of the hotter days, the air conditioning's sort of been kicking in the combustion engine a bit, using power mode. Obviously, when you give it a boot full of the right pedal, it's going to activate that as well. So the creature comforts, we've got the leather seats, obviously. We have heated seats at the front, heated rear outer seats, memory seats on both of the front passenger seats, and their massages as well. Considering the Australian market, some ventilated seats might have been a good addition or a welcomed addition, but you know, it's still a nice and comfortable place. Everything's nice to the touch, maybe a little bit plasticky with the knobs and dials, but everything's kind of there. Everything's good. Blind spot monitoring, we've got cruise control with all the lane keep assist, radar cruise, all those sorts of things. So yeah, with the drive modes, I'll just go through those quickly here. You obviously have power, there is eco and normal, and then the other ones you have, so there's tarmac, gravel, snow and mud. Mitsubishi are suggesting that this is quite a capable vehicle. I know there have been road tests done with it to prove that, so there's one that delivers quite a fair bit for the money. I guess it is a bit questionable as to whether this is actually a 7-seater given the lack of space in the third row. I'm thinking that most people who buy these primarily using them as a 5-seater with a larger boot area. With the second row, each of the 3 seats can fold down individually for extra convenience. there is the inclusion of the head-up display, and it does have things like speed sign recognition, and thankfully it's not too intrusive when it comes to alerting you about those things. And there's a 9-speaker Bose audio system, including a subwoofer, which has been really good. So there's a 1600 kilo braked towing capacity and 750 kilo unbraked. So again, just adding to how capable this car is. And on the roof racks, I believe it's got a load limit of about 80 kilos as well. I think that's about it. It is a really capable, family-friendly and driver-friendly SUV. I didn't expect to like it as much as I have, but I've really enjoyed driving it. So well done, Mitsubishi. You're converting a non-SUV person here. So I'm gonna have to give the keys back, but I have had a really good time driving this around. It just has felt so good. There's a lot of value to be had in either of the upper Outlander models. The Exceed Tourer, and the GSR are all really capable cars, and they offer just a lot of different variations and choices for, you know, a little bit of difference in the final cost. So let me know what your thoughts are. Those were mine, and yeah, check out the written review at the Exhaust Notes Australia website, and of course all our other reviews that are coming out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.